What happens when the man who built an empire telling people how to love suddenly becomes the story everyone can't stop talking about? For years, Steve Harvey wasn't just a comedian or a TV host. He was the voice of relationship wisdom, the guy people trusted to break down love, loyalty, and commitment. But now, that same image is being questioned in a way no one saw coming. Because behind the polished speeches and confident advice, something else has been quietly building, and now it's starting to surface in a way that's impossible to ignore. For a long time, Steve's story felt almost too perfect. A man who had seen failure, learned from it, and came back stronger. His relationship with Marjorie was often described as a real-life second chance, the kind of love story people point to as proof that timing matters. He's said it himself before that when you find the right person, everything changes. And for years that message stuck. People believed in it. They bought into the idea that Steve wasn't just talking about relationships. He had figured them out. But that kind of image only works when nothing cracks beneath the surface. And lately, those cracks have started to show. It didn't begin with a big reveal or a shocking headline. It started quietly with whispers. The kind that don't go public right away, but circulate just enough to make people start paying attention. According to someone close to the situation, what's happening now wasn't exactly hidden. In their words, it had been an open secret for some time. Small things, subtle things, moments that didn't seem important back then, but now feel different when you look back. Lingering looks at events, conversations that felt just a little too private, the kind of details most people would overlook, unless they were watching closely. And once those moments started getting pointed out, the narrative began to shift. What once looked normal suddenly felt questionable. And once doubt enters the picture, it doesn't stay small for long. Then came the part that really changed everything. Because it wasn't just about rumors anymore, it was about who those rumors involved. People started talking about connections that hit a lot closer to home than anyone expected. Not strangers, not outsiders, but individuals from within Steve's own circle. Names like his bodyguard and even his personal chef began surfacing in conversations, adding a level of tension that made the situation feel a lot more serious. Because if there's one thing that hits harder than scandal, it's betrayal. And especially when it comes from people you trust. And suddenly the story wasn't just about a relationship, it became about loyalty, boundaries, and whether the image people had believed in was ever as solid as it seemed. Just when it felt like things couldn't get any more intense, another unpredictable element entered the picture. And it came from someone known for saying exactly what's on his mind. Kanye West dropped a cryptic message online. Just one line. Seeing some things I shouldn't have. That was all it took. No names, no explanations. But the timing was enough to send people into a frenzy. Social media lit up instantly with fans trying to connect the dots, analyzing every possible angle. Was he hinting at something? Was he reacting to something already circulating? Or was it something entirely different? It didn't matter. The ambiguity made it even more powerful. Because when people don't have clear answers, they fill in the blanks themselves. And that's when speculation spreads the fastest. While all of this was unfolding online, Steve's response was almost non-existent. At least not in the way people expected. He didn't come out swinging. He didn't shut things down directly. Instead, there were moments, small ones, that people started reading into. A pause during a public appearance. A line that felt slightly out of place. Nothing concrete, but enough to keep the curiosity alive. At the same time, Marjorie remained completely silent. No statements, no reactions. And in situations like this, silence doesn't calm things down. It does the opposite. It creates space for more questions, more theories, more assumptions. According to someone close to her, the pressure has been overwhelming. Every move watched, every appearance analyzed. It's the kind of attention that turns even the smallest detail into something people dissect endlessly. And as the noise kept growing, the situation started affecting something much bigger than just personal reputation. Because Steve Harvey isn't just a public figure, he's a brand. A brand built on trust, credibility, and authority in a space where people look for guidance. But when your personal life starts to contradict your message, people notice. Old quotes began resurfacing. Advice he gave years ago started getting re-examined under a completely different lens. And suddenly, what once sounded inspiring now felt ironic. Behind the scenes, there are reports that companies are becoming more cautious. Partnerships that once felt stable are now being looked at more carefully. Because in today's environment, perception matters. And when headlines shift, so does the way brands position themselves. At the same time, conversations started turning towards something even more serious. Not just rumors, not just reputation, but the possibility of a breaking point. After nearly 16 years of marriage, people are now questioning whether this could lead to something bigger. Talks of separation, speculation about what that would mean financially, emotionally, publicly. And when you add that to their history, a story that once felt like perfect timing and second chances, it creates a sharp contrast that people can't ignore. Even details from their past are being revisited. How they first met, how they reconnected, and the unexpected role someone like the bodyguard may have played in bringing them back together. What once felt like a romantic twist now feels like another layer in a much more complicated story. But even with all of this, there's still one thing that keeps the situation from settling, and that's the public. Because this isn't just playing out behind closed doors, it's happening in real time, across comment sections, posts, and endless discussions. And people are divided. Some are harsh, calling out what they believe are obvious signs that were ignored. Others are more understanding, pointing out that no one really knows the full story. There are those who say this proves that even the most confident advice doesn't guarantee a perfect outcome. And others who argue that personal struggles shouldn't cancel out everything someone has built. It's a constant back and forth, with opinions forming just as quickly as new details appear. And that's where things get even more complicated. Because in a world where information moves this fast, it becomes harder to separate what's real from what just sounds believable. Stories get repeated, reshaped, and amplified until they take on a life of their own. And by the time the truth has a chance to catch up, the narrative has already been written. So now everything sits in this strange space, somewhere between reality and speculation, between what's been seen, what's been said, and what people think they know. And maybe that's the real reason this story has captured so much attention. Not just because of who's involved, but because it forces people to question something bigger. How much of what we see is real? How much is just the version that gets presented to us? Because when the person who teaches millions about relationships becomes the subject of one, it changes the way people listen. And now everyone's watching, waiting to see what happens next, and whether the story they believed in was ever the full story to begin with.